Amnesty International says in a new report that tens of thousands of prisoners are being held without trial in Iraq, many of whom were recently transferred from U.S. custody and remain at risk of torture and other forms of ill treatment. The study details thousands of arbitrary detentions, sometimes for several years without charge or trial, also severe beatings of detainees, often in secret prisons, to obtain forced confessions and enforced disappearances. Amnesty International's Malcolm Smart says, quote, Iraq's security forces have been responsible for systematically violating detainees' rights, and they have been permitted to do so with impunity. Yet the U.S. authorities, whose own record on detainees' rights has been so poor, have now handed over thousands of people detained by U.S. forces to face this catalog of illegality, violence, and abuse, abdicating any responsibility for their human rights. Amnesty estimates that 30,000 detainees are held without trial in Iraq. Several detainees are known to have died in custody, apparently as a result of torture or other ill treatment by Iraqi interrogators and prison guards who regularly refuse to confirm their detention or whereabouts to relatives. Riyad Mohammed Saleh al-Ukaibi, age 54 and married with children, died in custody this past February as a result of internal bleeding, having been beaten so hard during interrogation that his ribs were broken and his liver damaged. His body was handed over to his family several weeks later. The death certificate gave his cause of death as heart failure. Torture is widely used in Iraq to obtain confessions. In many cases, these are already prepared by interrogators, and detainees are forced to sign while blindfolded and without reading the contents. Prepared confessions are often used as the only evidence against detainees when they are brought to trial, including in cases where the charges incur the death penalty. Hundreds of prisoners are reported to have been sentenced to death, and some have been executed after being convicted on the basis of these so-called confessions, which they said were false and had been signed under torture or other duress.